there, CSU. Welcome to another Wednesday of Coffee and Coaches. And we have a super special guest this week. We love having super special guests. It's so much fun, isn't it? This week we have the one, the only Lisa Madison. And Lisa, do you want to share what you're going to be talking about today?
Absolutely. I was able to go to this really great workshop not that long ago. It was hosted by the Center for Creative Leadership, sponsored by the Vermont Principals Association. And it was focused on resiliency and a lot of just like health, wellness, resilience pieces for educators and educational professionals. I thought there were some great perspectives and some great resources that came from that training. And so I was really excited to share them out with everybody because, April break is coming, but it can't come soon enough. And, we're all tired. We made it through most of the school year. In a normal year, we would be getting a little bit tired by now. And this year is anything but normal. So I just don't think that we can talk enough about resilience and wellness and how we build our own stamina and capacity and health so that we can then serve others in the work that we do every day in our schools. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I've got a little present. I'm going to share their presentation slides and just kind of talk through them. If that's okay. Are we ready for that? Okay.
We're ready.
Okay. Let me just pull them up. Okay. Am I in the right spot?
You are.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so one of the way that they framed this, which I thought was great, was really in terms of thinking about our energy in cycles, and that people who are performing at peak performance, like athletes, anybody who is top of their game in their field, they have cycles that they go through of energy and rest and energy and rest and energy and rest. And some of I have a 1,000-mile walking challenge that I did last year and this year. And I also started like walking some 5Ks and half marathons. And, when you work on your training schedule for those, it's all rest days. You've got exercise days and rest days. So you're not always on. You're trying to give your body what it needs to become stronger. So I thought it was just a great metaphor for this, and that the idea of a virtuous cycle that recharges your energy and lets you bring your best self to the work that you're doing every day. And they had us really stop and think about kind of like what gets in the way of our best selves, and especially this year, what gets in the way of our best selves, and how do we trap ourselves when we get in these vicious cycles, not virtuous cycles, but cycles that actually take away our energy, burnout cycles. How do we recognize that we're in one, and then how do we get ourselves out of it? And this cycle that they modeled was definitely one that I have fallen prey to more times than I care to admit. You don't sleep well. I sleep late instead of getting up to exercise. I have lower energy. I don't think as clearly. I make worse food choices, and all of a sudden I find myself, not in a great place, not in a place that makes me healthier and helps tomorrow be easier. So they also had us stop and just kind of think about, like, what are some of the common cycles that we get in that push us towards burnout? And what about COVID is it that adds or accelerates to that cycle? For me, I'll be clear, like there's been a couple days where I've been in a school building and we've been contact tracing, or we've been in the midst of some kind of COVID response where I haven't eaten all day because I'm trying to focus on the work in front of us and respond to it in a timely manner. But then it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're wrapping up. I'm literally starving. You can bet dollars to donuts that the food choice that I make at that moment is not one that reflects what I'm trying to do with my life or how I'm trying to take care of myself. So it's easy to see how COVID can exacerbate some of the things that we do that are not healthy and not helping us to be resilient and clear. They also had us really stop and think about when we're at our best. Like, when do we have high energy or in the zone? You're jamming, you're getting stuff done, life feels good. And to try and make sure that we're aware of those moments so that we can replicate them as often as possible. There was this great piece they added about checking in with your energy level. And when you find yourself in a low energy moment, doing something that's actually going to change that for yourself, and thinking about your patterns over time. And there's this resource, and I'll give all of these to you guys to share in next week's newsletter. But they called it the resilience battery level, which I loved, which was kind of like, take a week and just set your timer. And at each of these times, like 7, 11, 3, 7, 10, like just do a quick check-in of what's your energy level right now? Like, what's your battery level? How are you feeling about what's in front of you? Are you exhausted, overwhelmed, or are you feeling like energized and ready to tackle whatever's ahead? And then really reflect on that a little bit. Like, what tells you, do you have a pattern? Is it the post-lunch slump where every day you hit that wall at 1:30 p.m. and you really just need a chance to re-energize? And they gave some strategies for that. One thing they had us do, they had us pick just one of our favorite songs, like a song that we love that gave us energy, and just stand up, get away from our computer, and play that song and dance in our office or dance in our classroom. And, I laughed out loud. It was legitimately the first and only time that I've ever danced in central office with my door closed, definitely. But it felt great. And at the end of like just a little over 4 minutes, I had a totally different energy level than I did before that song. And I thought to myself, wow, I should do things like this more often. I should, if you get a meeting that ends a couple minutes early, rather than just running the restroom, checking your email, you might have a chance to stand up, do some stretching, make your body feel better, listen to some music, pop outside for a moment and get some fresh air or sunshine now that it's getting beautiful outside. And they call it time confetti. So, which I kind of like the concept of too, of, thinking about these little drops of time that we all have throughout the day. And can you use them more intentionally and mindfully to do things that fill you up, and recharge those batteries? So they talk about building energy in 5 different domains. I thought this was also a really helpful framework to think about it for me. They talked about physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and social, and that the things that we choose to do in those areas either build energy or take it away. So how do we choose intentionally to do some things that build energy? And I just want to zoom in on this one a little bit more because I thought it was fabulous. So they started with like, here are some strategies. So in the physical domain, you think about movement, being outdoors, good sleep, taking a nap, being well hydrated, nutrition, gardening, just things that connect you with your body and with the world around you. And I'm not going to read all these to you guys. You can obviously see them, but as you kind of go through each of these areas, you can think about, like, what is one thing that I haven't done lately that makes me feel great and fills up my battery in each of these domains? And that was my challenge for myself, was I picked one thing in each category that I wanted to try and do over the next 2 weeks to try and fill that bucket again, and get myself a little more energy and ready to go. I'm gonna skip some of this. Yeah, so then they gave some examples of, within each of the areas, being mindful, what are some ideas, how does it work? And they talked more about like being meditative without the meditation. For people, if you don't like meditation, you don't have to think about it as, oh, I've got to meditate. You could just think about it as, how do I give my brain a break? And how do I calm it down and slow it down, and like simple things like coloring or sitting quietly in nature. Those moments where if you're not into meditation or guided meditation, how do you just give your brain some space to be quiet and thoughtful? They talked about your purpose and trying to stay connected to your why. Like, why do I do this work? Why do I get up every morning? And how can we improve our connection to that throughout the week? It's so easy to get frazzled and harried, and you're just doing so many things, and you lose sight of the ones that are really the most important, and really give you energy, give you purpose. And savoring those moments and sharing something good. And they talked about shifting that energy when you're having a meeting, when you're connecting with someone and your energy is feeling low. Stopping, taking 5 minutes at the beginning of a meeting and doing, a turn and talk, or just connecting with one other person, or sharing out in a chat if you're on a virtual meeting. What's something good that happened to you today? What's something good that happened yesterday? What's one thing that you've accomplished in the last week that you feel really good about, or you're proud of, or it was hard and you survived it and you made it through, in one piece. And there were a couple resources that they had for that. One was this gratitude journal. I know Orly had talked about that at one of our wellness sessions earlier this year. But just being more mindful about things that you're grateful for, and things that went well. And then again, being intentional about finding joy. So what are things that give me joy? And then what am I doing for 15 minutes? Just 15 minutes. Everybody has 12 minutes. Like, at some point this week, you have 15 minutes. Do one of those things that makes you happy, that will fill your bucket and help you be ready to go. And then just that reminder back to that virtual cycle. How do we create those for ourselves? So get a good night's sleep, get some exercise, energy feels good, make better food choices, and perform better at making decisions and relationships and all those things that contribute to our overall well-being. A couple more quick resources, and then I just wanted to have a quick little conversation about it. So they gave this about mindfulness, this resource about being present. And I know, like, for myself, when you're on a lot of meetings, a lot of webinars, a lot of calls, like, especially if you're not facilitating or actively participating, like, it's just something you have to attend or be part of, but you don't necessarily have to be really actively involved every minute of the whole meeting. That's when it's, I'll just check my email, I'll just do this other thing, I'll just think about this. And sometimes that's appropriate to do, but sometimes it's really just distracting. And then I've completely lost focus on the topic of the meeting. And, you get kind of numb sometimes in those situations, and you don't feel present. And that disconnection and disassociation between, your body and your mind and what you're actively engaged in at that time, that's also not a great, healthy way to be. And so being fully present in every moment, allowing yourself, the opportunity to really just do what you're doing and not try to do 3 other things while you're doing that. So they just said, what about 5%? If you were 5% more present, you don't have to completely change everything that you do, but just 5%. What would that look like at work? What would that look like at home? And what would it look like about your own well-being and resilience? One of my friends who walks with me all the time, or did pre-COVID anyway, they talk about the difference when they walk without music and when they walk with music. And it's, it feels like walking with music, it'll jazz me up, it'll keep me going, I won't get as bored. And those things are true. But they also said that when they walk without music, they actually think better. They're in tune with nature more, they breathe more deeply, they kind of process things that have happened in their life that they haven't really had time to think about or to deal with. and that they've noticed a difference in their just being a little more present while they're getting some exercise. And then they also offered a sleep tracker as a resource. So same thing, feeling like if you're not feeling like your sleep cycle is healthy and is working for you, take a week, track it. When are you getting in bed? When are you actually going to sleep? What are your nighttime habits? How do you feel when you wake up? And just a little more reflection on what that could look like. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point. And then I wanted to just put you guys on the spot a little bit and ask you if you would tell me a little bit about like those virtuous cycles and vicious cycles for you, and what are some small actions that you try to take that helps you be more on a virtuous cycle than on a vicious cycle?
Thanks, Lisa. I could say one of the things for me, because I know that my body gets very in tune with nature, and I'm very happy in nature, especially when water is involved. And for me, having the new house with the brook as running through my land, that's the greatest thing for me. And when I can go and sit out there and I just sit in a chair or sit on a rock or sit on the ground and close my eyes and listen, and it re-energizes, it brings peace. And it is sort of like that meditation without meditating that you were talking about. It's almost a natural meditation, because for me anyway, because of the sounds and the moving water. It's almost like everything that's like up here going is sort of moving away downstream. Mm-hmm. That's what works well for me. What doesn't work is eating half a bag of chips when I get home. That's the vicious cycle.
Yep.
I think for me, it's that, I don't know if I can pinpoint like the entire cycle, but it's that work home life balance. And I feel like this year with COVID and having remote days, it has become really difficult to separate work from home. And I find that I think the vicious part of the cycle is that I'm more focused on work than I am on life and family and kids, and really trying to break that cycle. And purposefully, like yesterday, it was beautiful out, right? So I made an intentional effort to get outside and kick my kids off devices, so that they would have to participate too. But it's hard, man, it's hard.
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's the whole vicious cycle thing either that gets to me, but there's one little thing that I notice about it all, and that's when I get behind on something and there's this thing hanging over my head that I haven't done, that I know needs to be done. And it could be anything. It could be a project at work. It could be a homework project assignment, like a paper that I haven't finished yet that I know needs to be done. Or it could be an upcoming event that I know I have to go to that I really don't want to. That cuts into my sleep. And it's not that that time when I go to bed is almost the same every night, but in the middle of it all, it's less restful for some reason. I wake up in the middle of the night more. I have trouble staying asleep more. For me, it doesn't usually devolve into bad food choices or anything like that, but the things hanging over my head, it's not done. I don't sleep well, and that somehow feeds itself. And really breaking out of it means getting that thing done. Just going ahead and doing it, carving out the time, saying, okay, I got to do this. Done. Good. Then I sleep well the next night and things get better. And my family notices too.
Yeah.
Because my mood changes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that concept of time confetti? And like, if you have 2 minutes, or if you have 4 minutes, if you have 6 minutes, like what kinds of things do you think that you would do to give yourself a little pick me up recharge if you had that amount of time? And I will tell you, my super secret weapon as a principal was, as an elementary principal, was always preschool. And like, if I needed a quick boost of pick me up, like I would go to preschool, because somebody always wants to play with you or talk to you or tell you what they're doing. There's always someone smiling. There's always someone who is so excited about what they're learning that they're like jumping up and down over numbers or letters or colors or science. And it used to just fill up my heart and make me feel so great. And you never had to stay very long. It could be a couple quick minutes between a meeting, and I would be like so ready to go, or even at home, I noticed too, like if I just stop for a minute and play with my dogs, like pet them, talk to them, throw a ball that they don't fetch, they just take it and run away with, and it's hysterical. But whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a long time either. Like they're very happy to sit there and get a couple minutes of snuggling, and then we all go about our days. And so those are a couple for me. What about you guys? What other time confetti things might you try to work into your schedule in those little bits of time?
I know when I'm home working, if I have 10 minutes, I'll actually hop on the treadmill. It's not as nice as being outside, but I can fit it into a short amount of time. Or puppy snuggles are always the best. And usually if I'm in the building and I find that I need a break, or, I just need to step away, I'll do a lap around the building. Sometimes it's more for steps because I'm competitive and I'm in a step challenge with a group of people. But it is also nice to just walk through the building and just see what's going on.
Yeah.
For me, it tends to be, no matter where I am, it's pictures of my grandbabies. Videos are even better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you not get recharged after watching those? Oh my gosh. Or seeing their beautiful smiley faces. I love when I'm at Wells, because Liz is, speaking of preschoolers, right? Liz's daughter is a cultie. She looks like my granddaughters. So if I'm missing my granddaughters or need them, I just go in and find Ro. Hi, Ro. It's great.
Yeah.
See, I like to make things. I've been making musical instruments or whatever. So if I've got 5 minutes, I'll spend some time on some part of one of those. And I moved a lot of my stuff to build them into my living room, which my wife is very understanding, I have to say. But, if I got 5 minutes, I can pick it up and, drill a hole in a piece of wood and put a guitar tuner in there or something, or maybe I'm working on a whistle or whatever it is. And I can usually get some piece of it done and feel like I've done something in 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And it just, something about that creative process, doing something like that, makes me feel better.
Yeah, that's awesome. A couple other little ones that I'd found in various places. One was pick up your phone, like you were talking about, Jenny, flip back 5 pictures. So the 5th picture, and then just stop for a minute and think about why you took that picture, what it was about that moment that you wanted to capture, how it makes you feel, what you're grateful for about that experience, just reflecting on it. Another one that I thought was great was it's similar. Just pick up your phone, scroll through your contacts, find somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, and just shoot them a text message that says, I'm thinking about you. How are you? Or, hey, this is what's going on in my life, or just sending you, a quick hi. And, remembering and again, thinking about like, this is a person that I care about who I haven't connected with. And I want to do that. And in like a declutter article that I read not too long ago, not that it really helped me, but I'm pretending, they talked about just go pick up 3 things that are out in your house that need to go away and put them away. And it doesn't need to be 30. It doesn't need to be, dust and mop your entire house. It's just go pick up 3 things, or straighten 3 things or whatever. And those quick little moments. And I remember when we worked remotely last spring, I feel like I did a better job of that than I've done since we've gone back to school. And it was that cycle of you'd have these meetings and then you'd have a break. And so in that break, you'd, use the restroom, fill up your coffee, fill up your water, check your email. But sometimes you'd also have a minute where you could just breathe and be a human being. And I'm very interested in that time confetti concept and trying to work more into my in-person life like I had in my remote life. Do you guys think that that's the same? Has it changed?
I think so. I was thinking about in-service, and it's been mentioned to us a few times. So thank you to the teachers that have pointed it out to us. But that our in-services, we tend to go, 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 go. And so I think for us, I think we should intentionally carve out time in between all of our sessions to let teachers take this time. And I bet we can do it. But
that's a great idea. The VSA, they just had a conference with VICLA and the VCSEA, and they had that in the schedule. There were like 5-minute breaks, 10-minute breaks. And not only did they build them in, but for each one on the agenda, they gave you a suggestion of a wellness activity that you could do in that amount of time. Either pick your own or try this. And I thought that was a really cool thing to build into a conference agenda for the day. Yeah, that's a great idea, Corey.
I mean, we've got these wonderful GRCSU playlists that our teachers have helped us create, but we don't give them time to listen to it. So,
right. Yep, absolutely. What do you think about those 5 domains, the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and social, and like trying to be mindful, like pick one and like try and do something in 15 minutes. I thought that was a really cool idea. Do you have one that you think that you would be drawn to more, or would be more likely to be like, okay, the next time I have 15 minutes, I'm going to do this part?
For me, it's the spiritual piece. Just connecting for a quick minute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I personally find elements of all of those domains in the things I do. So if I really sit and think about it, there's always some connection to each of those domains in whatever it is I'm working on. Even if it's as funny as it sounds, even if it's a spreadsheet full of data. Why am I doing it? What's my purpose in doing it? Who is this going to help? Can I teach somebody something from it? It rolls together. Mm-hmm. And maybe being able to see activities that way helps you to keep that balance together. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's a great Y connection.
I think I'm typically drawn to the physical, but I probably should spend more time in the mindfulness. So.
Probably true for all of us, right? Can't ever give yourself a break, especially this year, because it's just go, 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 and screens and, push, push, push. So the more that we can just stop and take a minute and let our brains not be busy, so that the things that are really on our minds or that we need to be thinking about have a chance to bubble to the surface with all the other chatter that goes on in our brains. So, well, thank you for letting me share all of that today. I know we're running out of time, but I really enjoyed that session and the resources. Like I said, I'll share all of them. Probably I'll put together a module at some point when I have 15 minutes and trying to have that available for in-service too, because I think some of these resources are just great for people to think about and reflect on and try and make some commitments to themselves so we can all continue to do this work. I mean, as we talked about before, like teaching is never easy, and carrying the things that we carry for our students and the wishes and worries that we have for them, the amazing challenge and opportunity and sometimes frustration of trying to teach content and skills to other people, and all the other professional pieces that we have on top of life and the personal things that we go through, you know, in a regular year. That's a lot, let alone this year. So thanks for letting me talk with you about it.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing with us.
Okay. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.